Good evening, everyone that's joining us on YouTube and across the live stream tonight. I'm Eva Melton. Welcome to my channel. Tonight, I'm being joined by Rohan Clarke, who is physically right now in Jamaica, and I'm here in Birmingham, Alabama. Rohan, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great. Happy to join you.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking time to join us. We're streaming live across two channels right now. And for those who are coming back and watching the replay, just want to say hello. And once you see it, take a moment to share this stream with someone who you feel like will benefit from the content that's going to be shared tonight, because it's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing. So my first would say that my first goal of tonight, intention for tonight, is simply to help share the work that Rohan is doing. And I'm going to let him tell you exactly who he is and about some of the work that he's doing at this time.
Hey, okay, thank you. Hi everyone. The work that I do. So I call myself an Ancestral Resolve Practitioner, and it's not so much about a title. It's more of I'm very interested in ending suffering on the planet. I've gone through a whole lot as a child. I had to be responsible from early, as a teenager, probably at 5 years old. And I've noticed that, I couldn't understand why people behave the way they behave. I grew up, started to do some of the things that I didn't understand why people were doing. A lot of self-sabotaging, um, people doing things that wasn't serving them. And they had this concept of looking for stuff outside of them. I was told to go to school, get an education, and become somebody. I've tried that. It didn't work for me. So I've started to look outside of that box, if you will. Um, what we call outside of mainstream. So, because in mainstream, you could say my life wasn't fulfilled. So, I had what people considered all the money I needed, but I just wasn't fulfilled. I was, could say, miserable. Doing a lot of things that normal people do, but it just still wasn't fulfilled. Started interacting with other people, and I feel a lot of people didn't get me. So I like to put it as I started to look under different rock. I had an experience, probably two, what they would call dark night of the soul. It was intense for me. It's basically what we call an awakening, and where you're more open. You perceive things from different points of view. For me, I was already um, not not cognizant or not so much on board with how I see people were. So in that experience, I started um, being open and having certain experiences and seeing life from different points of view. And as I said, everything is true from a certain point of view. But what I'm interested in is what's serving. And we learned a lot of things about the concept of God. And I feel my perception of God is, we're told to worship God, and worship for me, in my understanding, is to respect. But of course, and people talk about God and they talk about what's less than, the D word. But I feel we are being served. My concept of the higher intelligence is to serve us. You know, to that to me, in my experience, it says yes. We it's very biased and clear in what it wants for humanity. Is that I want for you prosperity. There are so many different evidence of that. However, humans have free will, And I like to feel that, because I share with people like that. People are so free that they choose bondage. So people are in bondage just because they are free. So from those points of view, people have free will and they get to choose their life. I mean, we were conditioned to believe certain things. I've done a lot of research as well, and I understand in terms of, and there are scientific evidence from we were children, how we got the programming, stuff like that. So I continued. I kept looking on the different rocks, and I have different experience. All of the things that I have learned outside of me made me more of myself, because that's how I feel that all of us should be. Go to school, but it's not about, yeah, we learn everything intellectually, but there's a resonance within all of us, and I'll get a little bit into the kind of work that I do, because I feel that we're all telepathic, and that's how the work that I do works, because we are connected. Everything is connected, even stuff that we are not on the frequency, because everything moves, but we are not on a certain frequency to understand it. So we got to this place. To me, it's simple. We're here to have an experience. We came with all we need, but of course, we have a mind. And my experience is that most people are not living from their heart. Most people are living mostly from their mind. Because in the work that I do, I get people to focus, get them to be in their bodies, because the difference between being in your body is being in mind. And a lot of thinking and rumination, and this is what causes most people suffering. Being in the mind, meaning being in memory, being in the past. So most people are in the past, stressing about the past, or worrying about the future, and they don't understand the concept of who they are is what they are putting their attention on in this moment. So with the work that I do, we use thoughts. Like I said, the mind is not a friend until it is. So we'll call it the serving mind, because most people are not allowing the mind to serve them. They are serving the mind. But we're designed that everything is to serve us, and we reciprocate that. So it's a balance. But most people are, because of a long conditioning and program and what they were told. So most people, because basically you are aware, what you are aware of, you are. Because awareness of consciousness is consciousness. So anything you become aware of, anything you put your attention on, that's what you automatically identify with it. So you become it. So most people are not aware. That's the whole thing, because everything is from consciousness. We are all conscious. It's just our behavior that is unconscious. And they talk about their attitudes of mind. So it's all about your behavior. And I like to use that word. It's what we behave. So in our experience that we came here to have, we took a lot of things personal. And what we resolve are those personalities that we identify with, and based on certain belief, we'd like to say unhealthy beliefs. There are unhealthy religious programming. There are some serve as well, but there are some beliefs, and in my experience, and based on a lot of interaction that I've had, this reality is formed based on a belief. This is how physical reality works, and I will talk about the consensus reality. Enough people believe something, it becomes real. So as it relates to physical reality, is what do you believe? I mean, there's something beyond belief, because I've had so many interesting experiences that really it's beyond belief. So, but at least the concept of this reality formed based on our belief. We're experiencing our belief. You know, a lot of people are not aware of it. Yeah.
So I wanted to tell, so we're streaming across your channel and mine on this evening. So I wanted to tell the folks who may be coming in from my stream how I came across your work.
Okay.
So in early, I want to say 2022, I started hearing the word generational imprints a lot in my meditation time. And I actually ministered a lot about it and did a series on it in my context. And I came across maybe 8 or 9 months later, I came across Rohan on another spiritual teacher's podcast, and the words that he was using like pierced me, meaning that it resonated so highly that I knew I had to talk to him. Like I knew, because some of the language, some of the things he was saying matched exactly how it was coming to me, and not necessarily in the words, but in, I would say, the frequency that it was being released and how I was receiving it. So I knew quickly that I needed to talk to him, that there was some work and some understanding and some work that I needed to do with him. And so shortly thereafter, I ended up reaching out to him on his platform. And probably for the last year, for once a month, I've had a conversation with Rohan. And so that's one of the reasons I wanted to share his work with my audience, because it has been beneficial to me. And so while you may hear somebody say generational imprints, generational trauma, intergenerational trauma, a lot of times you don't hear how to clear those things. Like you can have an awareness, you can know that those things can be cleared. I'm a witness to that. But actually coming across someone who has the understanding of them, and I would say is gifted in that area, that's where you've got to get, right? And so I felt like I went through this stage of becoming conscious awareness that things could be cleared, and then how the saying goes, a teacher appears when the student is ready. And I was ready, and God allowed me to just pick up on a piece of this interview and to follow my intuition and make the phone call. And so, Rohan, I heard you say something about if enough people believe something, it becomes true. And that for me just sparked a whole concept of sometimes the cycles that we can see in our own lives. I say that sometimes we have lifetime cycles that happen over in our lifetime, but then sometimes we have generational cycles, and that those generational cycles can have a greater momentum and could be influencing the lifetime cycles. And I know in your area of work that may be a different, explained a little bit differently, but I wanted you to talk about a little bit how some of these things become cycles that show up in our life that we may not be aware of.
Okay, so there are scientific evidence that what has affected our ancestors is affecting our lives today, and part of the work that I do, it has a lot to do with forgiveness. So, I mean, I've had different interaction, and the idea of ancestral resolve, because ancestors mean those that came before, and is also the past. Now, I've gone through different interaction, if you will, or certain amount of training, and when we were talking about freeing our ancestors, they had different perception of how to free our ancestors. Now, when you simply, I've had some introduction to what they call mystery school training, and the mystery is hidden in plain sight. Sometimes it's like just as seeing is believing, when really it is believing is seen, because you have to believe first. So a lot of these concepts, it's in front of us in plain sight. So our ancestors, to free our ancestors, I simply saw it, in my meditation. And I'd like to say I listen to the subtleness. And it's all about letting go. And people hear about forgiveness, and most people say I forgive, but I won't forget. But when we're holding on to hurts and wrongs and judgments, this is how the nervous system works. Where we put our attention, the nervous system doesn't know the difference between do and don't, wrong and right. All it knows is where you're putting your attention. So this is what a lot of people don't understand. So we call it past becoming prophecy. So if we're as there's scientific evidence that says what affected our ancestors, if our ancestors what our ancestors went through is affecting. So we talk about trauma in the lineage. So those things, I simply look at it, if we are to free our ancestors and our future generation, and when I listen to the subtleness, it's saying to let go of the past, meaning to being able to release the hurts and the wrongs and the injustice that we went through. And a lot of people would probably say, no, I can't do that. They did this to our ancestors and they did a lot of things. And, but what a lot of people don't know, a lot of people went through, not one set of people, a lot of people went through a lot of different things. Now, in my experience, because I was the type of person who was angry as well. And of course, as I'm saying, I am not about separation. What the work that I do is to support all. So I'm about what is working for the individual and the collective at large. So in the work that I do and in my own experience, when we're really, forgiveness means to forego, to let go, to offer up, and to let go, let God, to surrender, and to release those hurts and wrongs. And of course, it happened a certain way. As we said, we took a lot of things personally instead of just having an experience, and that's why it is written that we must leave all judgment. Because we judge the experience, we took on the charge, and we took it on as burden. So I feel what we're here to do is to release all of those burdens instead of being rebellious or creating more rebellion. And don't get me wrong, I do empathize, and I am part of the history and my ancestors as well. But as I said, in interacting, I realized that it's all about to forgive and let go and release a lot of these things that we went through. So the work that I do, we use thoughts and we connect the high intelligence with. There's always a high intelligence that comes through, and we use the power of forgiveness and we do peacemaking and stuff like that. So you could call me a conduit or a space holder. So I hold the space, hold that vibrational match, and I'll allow that to come through. And people, so it's at a soul level or a cellular level, because scientific research has shown us again that these things that affected us, it changed the DNA, it changed the genetics. So our true nature is abundant, but because of these things that we went through, it changed the DNA at a cellular level to poverty. So we are here now to recognize that word. Recognize, just like the story of the ugly duckling. It's not that the duckling was ugly, it's just that the duckling didn't have a belonging. And we heard about another story with the eagle and the fowl, and the eagle did not know that it could fly. So it's not that it's ugly, it's just different, but it wasn't at home. So it's all about letting go. But a lot of people are attached to some of these things, and it has a frequency. A lot of these things that happen, and these, for who believe in past life, I don't project stuff on people, but I'm sharing this perspective. So for who believes in past life, and we heard that the soul cannot die. So the soul, as she talk about generational imprints, the soul is like a recorder. It records everything. So it has all the information. So if the soul cannot die, we would say let us reason. If the soul cannot die, then it means that, let's say we're listening to a music that was recorded 500 years ago. That music is playing now. It's not playing 500 years ago still, it's playing now. So what was recorded is still playing now. I was even sharing with somebody that if I say I love you, whether in thoughts or our deeds, it comes to you. So if I say I love you, it's happening. Now you might not hear it, but you feel it. Because a lot of us, that's one of the other things we weren't taught to feel. But if I record it and say I love you, you can take that recorder and keep listening to it. But the same way, if I didn't record it, it doesn't mean that it's not still happening. The recorder, based on physical reality, is just the evidence that I said this. But not because we don't have the recorder. Every thought, or we're interacting with thoughts rather than these every day. So, and what we're projecting into consciousness, because those are one of the, what we call the universal laws. What we're projecting into consciousness, it's always coming back to us. And that's why it is written again, to love thy neighbor as thyself. Because I like to share with people that we're not seeing things as it is, we're always seeing things as we are. And people always kind of battle me a certain way and say that people know what they're doing. But people they do not. A lot of people don't know. They are conscious because everything is from consciousness. And that's why it is written again in the Bible that says, my people were lost because of lack of knowledge. That lack of knowledge is not people not realizing that the issues that they're having with a particular individual, like in relationships, is not that person, because these things happen, could be from previous life. As I said, what the soul leaves with, it comes back in. And this is what the soul is keep coming back to do. Of course, we never had tools. Our ancestors never had the tools. We have tools now. We have certain awareness, certain openness. One time we weren't able to think for ourselves, and even right now, there are evidence that says it's only 2% of the population think. 3% think they're thinking. 95% rather die than think. So even the concept of thinking, and even some people are not even at the level of introspection. It's more ruminating and overactive thinking, and how the nervous system works is, although I think they said men cannot multitask, but nobody can multitask. Our humans are habitual beings. It's a habit. So once you're not focused, and I like to share with people that we focus on one thing at a time. Because once you're putting your attention on two things, you're going into overwhelm, the mind takes over, and a lot of these thoughts in the minds are not even ours, and we're putting saddle on them and riding off into the sunset. So once we put our attention and we're watching and watching TV, we're on automatic, where the mind takes over. And of course, a lot of the things in the mind didn't serve us, so any card can play. But so we as I share with people that it's about focusing, and that is how the work that I do work as well. We get it to focus. We need to be in our body, get transcend the thoughts and the mind, and be in our bodies. And this is how we connect. They ever saying again that believe half of what you see and none of what you hear. But nobody told me just to believe half of what you see, none of what you hear. But nobody said all of what you feel. Now, in my experience, I added on that. Believe half what you see, none of what you hear, but all of what you feel. Because when we understand the concept of God, creator, source, whatever that name is for your higher power, your understanding, we feel that. We feel the spirit, we feel energy, and everything is energy. Right? And energy is physics, simple physics. Now, of course, we heard about metaphysics and stuff like that. So if physics is the natural thing, then meta means something that is added. So it means that a program, but we got an original program where we're abundant and we came into that experience. But we came into this physical reality. There we got another program, another overlay. Now that program is overshadowing the truth of who we are. And this is what we're resolving. Everything that is not us. We're here to just release all of them. But of course, a lot of people was conditioned to believe something else. And as I said, what you believe, you become, or you experience.
Great. For those that are joining us tonight across YouTube, I'm Eva Melton. I'm here tonight with Rohan Clarke, an Ancestral Resolve Practitioner, who's physically in Jamaica, but helping people from around the world, as myself in Birmingham, Alabama, and Melody Ann. Good evening. She's joining us from Boston, Massachusetts, and Sonia Taylor is also joining us from Boston, Massachusetts. And so I can imagine them switching between our different dialects. It's fun on their end. So I love it. I love it. I love it. So I was listening to you and I had this question, and I feel like those that are listening may have this question as well. What space, spiritually, mentally, must a person be in order to work with you, for that work to be effective?
They can in the worst. They can be in the worst state that's coming to me, because I feel I'm about freedom. It's my signature. Everything I do is about freedom. Even to listen to like Bob Marley song, that's what I've been about from I've grown. But everybody is welcome. It doesn't matter what state. The only thing that is required is that they want help. That's all. And once you want help, and as I said, there's the guidance as well, and how I interact and kind of connect with higher intelligence. I ask to allow people that are ready to come to me. So that's important as well. But everybody can get help. I've seen miracles every time. I mean, instantaneously after the time. So all is welcome. Anyone can get help. You just need. We talk about spiritual veneer, or spiritual bypass, or denial. No, we'd like to say again, the only way is through. It's like I said before, you can be, you must first go through. You can't go around. You can't go around the wall of Jericho. We heard about that. The wall fell down. So the only way is through. And as I said, we went through some stuff. I can share a little perspective of how we are as children, because children see parents as gods. Now, I mean, that's not too far-fetched, because we take care of our children. We provide for them. We guide them. We're supposed to guide them, not impose on them. We're supposed to guide them. But of course, we were, especially when I was growing up, I heard they becoming somebody is to become lawyer, doctor, Indian, or chief, instead of holding the space for that child and guiding them and observing, because observing is a profound connection to high intelligence. So instead of we do that, we project our idea of what success is on them instead of giving them the space. But children, and I've seen this, children do see parents as God. So just imagine we as adults, what I would call that high intelligence, God, creator, source, Allah, whatever it is for your higher heart's understanding. If we believe in that high intelligence, and I've proven it so many times, as I was sharing earlier, it's never early, and it's always mind blowing for me. Never early, never late, but it's always on time. So if any of us who believes in a higher power believe that there's something that cannot handle, then none of us are safe. And that's why I like to share it with people as well. If sickness was real, then or let's put it this way: sickness cannot be beyond God or beyond source. So then, what is sickness? It's an idea, it's a concept, and a lot of the times it's projected. So what we address the deeper aspect, like some children. So like I was sharing about children, when they see parents as gods, and they're over the veil, on the other side of the veil coming in, because children are their soul is just as evolved, and when they see parents quarreling and worrying about money and stuff like that, there are children that says, "I'm not safe," and so a lot of the children resist coming over the veil. Of course, we induce labor and bring them over the veil. And when they come over here again and they still see parents worrying about money, because that's not our true nature. They said, it's my fault why they are struggling. It's my fault why they are arguing. So those create what we call a frequency. I'm not safe. And if somebody doesn't feel safe, it means they doesn't feel love. And the children are saying, what's wrong with God? And the thing is, we were all children. So those conditioning that we took on, and we took that personal, and that become what we call trauma in the lineage, because we took that personal. Now, those versions of us, as I was explaining, those versions of us are still trapped in what we call time space. I'm very conscious of what I'm saying, because not everybody is open, but I'll say a few perspectives. So there are certain versions of us, because we don't understand that we're a multidimensional being. The different versions of us are trapped in what we call time space. So these are the versions of us that were affected. As I said in the Bible, it said, my people are suffering because of a lack of knowledge. The lack of knowledge is not having that awareness that this is happening. Because those versions are still there, still affected by even that child, and it can happen in different lives for who believes in past life, who believes in works like that. But even earlier on in our lives, if we do not believe that, if we heard do unto others as you would have them do unto you, and we heard about karma, that's another aspect. But let's say whatever you do unto another, and we heard that. My view is that God doesn't punish God doesn't punish anybody. We punish ourselves. God doesn't judge anybody. We judge ourselves. So if whatever we do to another, automatically. So if everybody was loving each other, then that's what would be reciprocating all the while. Now, evidently, because of stuff that happened, that's not the case. But it doesn't stop the situation from happening, and those frequencies continue on if it's not resolved, if it's not cleared. And for the most part, as I said, our ancestors, with my communication with the ancestors, they're all about letting go of the past. Yes, they got affected and stuff like that, and but they are saying let it go. So forgiveness really means to forego. Not I forgive, but I won't forget. It's all about releasing so we can be free. When we're holding on and attaching to those stuff, we literally take it on as burden. Even people, after a lot of the times, one of the quickest things will come from a person after probably the first interaction, and I say, how do you feel? They say they feel lighter. They literally you feel that's light coming in, and light like light, and light like a feather. Because my perception again of humans are made up of light, water, and energy, and just like the sun in the sky, it doesn't penetrate the clouds. That's the most powerful light in the sky, but it doesn't penetrate the clouds. So humans are without light. Based on these interpretations and perceptions, they so it's like a bottle filled with dirt. We can't get anything more in that, because most people pray in a certain way, and like I said, worrying is praying for what you don't want. But in my experience, we don't even need to ask God for anything. What we ask God to do is to help us to forgive ourselves, because that's sometimes the hardest thing to do. Forgive ourselves, to forgive others, and help others to forgive us. Most people don't pray like that. Most people are telling God what to do. We can't tell God what to do. So it's all about perception. But I'm always saying, because I don't get into debate, I believe in people expressing their position. But I'm always at the end of it time saying, is that working for you? And we don't want to do what we call unhealthy coping mechanism, because we all came here to be abundant. And we know what our hearts is all about our heart desire. And so early in my journey, I heard about if you're not living from your heart, you can never be happy. And I didn't understand it earlier on when people were saying live from my heart. How do I do that? But most people are living from their mind. You understand? Now, so what we call heart coherence, and that's the battle that is going on within the human. The mind is battling the heart instead of the heart has to lead, because the heart is 90, more than 95% of who we are. The mind is just 5%. That's why they say most people only use 5% of their brain. The truth is that they're using 100% of their brain to tell themselves not to use 5%, because they're more intellectualizing instead of really feeling. Our emotions is an expression of our feeling, but it's not the feeling, it's an expression. So the truth is the feeling, it's the connection. So that, as I said, if the creator is always expressing for fuller expansion, to me the creator only says yes. But we are free will. I want freedom. Yes. I want something else. I don't want this bondage. Yes. Says it's whatever, based on our unconsciousness, because that's really what the bottom line is. It's unconsciousness that leads to fear, that people we need to transcend these fears and live from our heart, live from love. But that's the opposite of fear is really love. So if our bottles is filled with dirt, so to speak, then the light, the sun, it cannot penetrate. And we call light the healer. I don't call myself a healer. I call myself a facilitator. I hold the space or a conduit and allow the creator, the source of all that is, was, and ever will be, to come through and resolve, because we're all telepathic, we're all connected, we're all one. And of course, we allow the soul. It's better to allow the soul, because the soul, there are certain things that happen intense. So we don't use force. We allow the soul to bring up what needs to address in each moment, because the soul know what we can handle. Yeah. So what we need to do is to empty. We call it neutral. We need to empty that bottle that is filled up with all of those debris. Call it energetic debris or blockages, as we like to share as well. There's two reasons why things don't show. Either it's not serving, never serve, never will, or there's something blocking. So most people don't realize that, because they're filled with these debris and beliefs and conditionings, they are closed off. It's almost like we share that the only place we displace God is in the mind. That's where most people live. Instead of their heart, live from love. They are intellectualizing everything. They're trying to figure out and understand. And the heart doesn't do that. The heart just experiences. It doesn't want to know. It just experience. A lot of the times, stuff that's supposed to happen in our life, it's because we are trying to control the narrative, and we are trying to figure out how, and we are focusing on money as our supply. But money is a reflection. Money is a use, but it's not our supply. So if we are not emptying those vessels, there's always abundance that is pouring down. But if the vessel is filled, then all of those are going to overflow. It's not going to get inside. So what we do in this work is to I'm humbly and ungrateful on your behalf, ask the Creator to empty you. Of course, we can't take you and just turn you over. It might be a little intense, or what we call pluck from the root. Because if something is a tree has been planted for a long time and we are going to pull it out, it's going to be a little intense sometimes. So we allow the soul to bring up. I went through something. I would like anybody to go through some of the intense experience I had. So it's all about surrendering to the soul and let that keep chipping away. I feel this is what we're here to do: to forgive, to let go, to release, love each other, love everything, treat even the ants, the birds, the trees as we'd like to be treated.
So for those that are listening or joined us, in the caption of this video on YouTube, wherever you're watching this, is a link to Rohan's website through AIM, and that is how you can contact him. But Rohan, I want you to talk about the different offerings that you have. I know you have some group offerings, which one is later tonight. I know you have some individual offerings that may refer to clearing from the roots. What are the pros and cons that you have from that? So it looks like we may have lost Rohan. We'll give him a second to come back in. Just hold on a second, you guys. We'll give him back into the stream in a second. There you go. Can you hear me okay?
I'm hearing you well.
Awesome. So Rohan is back. So we want to talk about the different offerings that AIM is offering. And I know one of them is tonight. And I know you have a group offering, some individual offerings. And I just want you to talk about why someone would choose one over the other.
Okay. Well, I offer both. I am doing group session because my aim, as it said, my aim, because align inspired missions spells aim. So my aim is to really offer this to as much people as possible. So I want to do it. And as I said, I'm not doing the work. I basically hold the space and I get out of the way, the creator comes through, and there's a what we call an oversouling and a group narrative that when we're clearing a lot of the times for one individual, we're clearing everybody in the group. So if we have 1 million people clearing, then it is effective in that way, just the same. For the most part, I do the group sessions as a donation base for now because I want, and even sometimes if the person doesn't have the funds, because I know it goes, I allow them to come into the session same way because I know it is profound and it works. So I'd like everybody to be able to have an experience of it. So so the group session is about addressing a magnitude of people. While in some people's, it's all about people's preference. You can do both the group session and the individual session same way. And a lot of people do all of them. Not one is better than one because if the human beings are projecting based on these things, and 19 out of 20 things that humans does every day is negative based on the conditioning that and 95%, 19 enough percent of the time, they are negative. Now, as I said, what we're projecting into consciousness is coming back. So this is what is happening on the planet. So if we're without light, then you could say this is all I do. I mean, I love what I do. So I basically, you could say, cleanse right around the clock, because there's a lot of things happening, and also I share with people to tune into their feelings, to focus, and that's part of grounding as well, to put your attention on breath. I mean, a lot of people don't value the breath until they have to pay millions of dollars for it. The breath of life, that breath that created all of humanity. So that's one way that we can ground ourselves and check in to see where we're going. A lot of people don't want to feel, and most people, as I said, find God in the bottom of the bottle. It's only when they feel pain that they say they feel. They are avoiding the feelings, and that's the connection to higher intelligence. So if something doesn't feel good, then that needs to clear, because our true nature is to feel good, and excitement is a big part of it. Because I feel there's only one path, and the path is our purpose, to follow our excitement with no attachment to the outcome. Now we think the idea of duality it's from thinking, our best thinking. So we think, I like to say, we think we have a choice, because if we have two choices and one of the choices doesn't serve, is that a choice? So when people say we have two choices and one of the choices to follow our purpose and the other one, but I like to say that one is the erosion and one is purpose. So is the erosion a choice? It's a choice, but it's no choice, because nobody came here to suffer. And some of these narrations too, we came here to thrive. When you look at the concept of suffering, is somebody near death, somebody near all kind of things nearly happen to them. That's the frequency of suffering. You understand? We didn't come here to do that. We came here to thrive. We came here to let go of all the things that we are not, so we can be. And that the rediscovery part, and we heard about the story about the life and death. My experience is it's infinite life. It's our best belief. As I said, physical reality is about a belief. So we believe something else, and whatever we believe, we are experiencing. But when we really check in and tap in to the truth of who we are, we realize that we are all one, and darkness is the absence of light. And of course, there's a contrast. But darkness was created for light to walk upon. So it's not a negative. I'm not seeing them as good or bad. Darkness is the absence of light, but light is light. Light is not the absence of darkness. Darkness is the absence of light. So where there's darkness, it means there's no light. And anytime soon, light is going to walk upon it. You understand? So I believe in the tree of life, not life and death. And that's another topic again, because we did hear that we cannot die. We can change. We do change form, but we cannot die. But we believe what we believe we're experiencing. So of course we got those unhealthy beliefs from a certain place and certain conditioning, and these are what we need to be open to at least be open, because a lot of people are defending, people are having war because of something that they heard, and the answers are all within us, but we're not trusting our inner guidance. We're living from outside in when we're really supposed to live inside out. There's this concept that we believe that we are born into the world, but the world is born within us. And it's not far-fetched either, because let's look at a blueprint. You first have an idea within you, then you put it outside of you on paper, but it came from within, came from within us. Then we put it on paper, we create the design, and then we build the structure. Yeah. So it's to live. Everything outside of us is to inspire us to look within. And even when we address relationships, I share with people that they're going to meet each other for the first time or part as friends. And even in relationship, when we're building our house, we scrutinize the architects and the builders and stuff like that. We get the Carfax, but nobody is getting the man facts and the woman facts. Yeah, nobody's first sight and all these kind of things, and within a few minutes we're putting our frame or mirroring different frames, and we're having the same experiences over and over. So it's all about not to fix anyone or anything outside of us, it's to fix ourselves, so to speak. And we address that from within, based on what we carry within. There's this perspective what they call oponopono, where it's just been I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. To me, that's really telling the versions of us that are affected. I love you, I so address you. So if you keep saying that, they will calm down. But with the best thing to do is to resolve them. And as Einstein said, the mind cannot fix the thing that it created. Only being can fix that is God, the higher intelligence source. So we have to bring in the higher intelligence to resolve a lot of the things that cause all of these suffering to humanity. So that's my aim, to invite people to be open, to be aware of some of the things that they are even defending, and especially just allow a little, I call it light, or a little reasoning. I mean, the first thing I said I would say is for you, it's just like we have two drinks. For you to taste what's in my cup, you first have to put down your cup, or I like to say empty your cup. A lot of people get defensive when I say empty your cup. But we can't have two beverages and mix them up. We're not going to know the difference between them. So I listen to every different perspective. I'm not against. It's all about is it working. So if we're going to defend a point of view that we didn't even come up with, and how did you get that point of view? We were told, we're told, and people are not realizing that. Okay, but what the thing is, if it's not the truth, it's water of dust, because there's a resonance within us. But a lot of people are not open to something different, right? To allow that. They're holding on to a certain perspective. When it's not serving, they're doing it harder and louder, and feeling that, and they're getting somewhere for eons, and the cycle continues. But if you're, and of course it's the fragmented versions why this is happening. And I like to share the perspective again, like the Titanic. There's if it had 1 degree in movement, it wouldn't have hit just 1 degree. So the analogy of that is just allow a little. Instead of ready to listen to defend, we want to listen to first, to give an ear to understand, to look at life differently, and that's what we offer in the work that I do. To try, and I people like use the word try, but to engage in something different. Because we know in our heart that a lot of the things that we're doing is not working, and we're still holding on to it. So that's one of the challenging I could say that was a gift for me. I find it easy to let go, but it's challenging. And I said if it was easy, everybody would do it. It's very challenging for other people to let go of, because they think that if they are letting go, they are losing themselves. But the truth is, you cannot. The truth of who you are, you cannot lose. You can't lose that. So they are brilliant and they have different titles and stuff like that. And if they let go of that, they are going to be nobody. And that's how I see and experience the creator. It's no thing. And nobody wants to be no thing. Not nothing in it. No space thing. It's nothing. It's nothing, no one, no place, nowhere. And it's all within all of us. We're all connected. And we're all connected at the core. But we like to say awareness of consciousness is consciousness. And we have to let go of everything, including something. Everybody wants to be something or somebody. We need to let go.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you for that. I agree with at times we're not open to something new. We hold on to what is not serving us just out of the familiarity of it. That it's been there. It has to be this way. This is what I taught. This is what my grandmama believed. And I really do believe that our grandmothers and those that are with us now want us to live in freedom. That they would tell us, if it's not serving you, you can lay that down, right? If there's some concepts that are in you, about you, things that you've held on to that don't serve your present time, space, reality, you can lay those down and open yourself up. And I think a lot of times it's the mental, the brain, at conflict with these different belief systems at times. It can actually be a hindrance to us opening ourselves up to healing and to freedom. At least for me, that's what I felt like I've had to progress over the years, to even being open to working with and listening and learning and knowing that there's something better. It's one thing for those that are listening, to hear a pastor in a pulpit talking about theory. It's one thing to hear somebody talk about, life can be better. But when you actually begin to experience life being better for yourself, and you know that there's something more to it, and there's some things that are going on. Sometimes somebody's listening right now, there's something going on with you that you can't put your hand on where it's coming from, but many times it could be in your subconscious. It could be there. And as Rohan said, the soul knows, and you're not going to figure it out logically in the way the education system, especially here in the United States, is going to teach you to figure those things out. Many things the soul knows. And sometimes we go to people, and this is just me talking to those that are listening, because my audience a little bit more traditional from a religious perspective. We go to these people because we hear that they're trained, they got these degrees, right? But they're all learning the same concepts. There are some people with degrees that are in the area of healing works that are not even designed to be healers, right? But they just got the degree. A degree does not make one capable of holding space in a way that's going to allow God to work and to allow that healing to flow through. So I just wanted to leave that nugget there for those that may be looking for my voice and wondering what I think. I 100%. My thought process is, if something, the proof is in the process. You know whether or not something helps you or not. And so you don't need to try to logically prove why something helped you, right? You get the help that you need, because once you get the help that you need and your frequency raises and you have a different awareness, you're going to help everybody that's around you in close proximity. You're going to help your family, but even those that you're connected to spiritually, which you may call your spiritual family, you're going to be able to help them just by not your words, but how you're operating. The level you're operating at is going to help some other people begin to clear. So if you're listening and you're questioning and you're on my channel and you kind of know my background in the area that I have connected to God, I want to say just open yourself up. And if you find yourself in conflict trying to bounce some scripture across something you heard tonight, be sure that you're truly reading the scriptures, right? That you're truly listening, because many of the things that Jesus said had dual meaning or had a deeper meaning and have been, I would say, watered down. And we have to look not only for the words that are there, but also sometimes there's a metaphysical meaning to the things that Jesus taught, as he was teaching on a level that's just not consciously. You've got to go, what I would say, as he says, the soul knows. So I just want to leave that tonight for those that may be listening, trying to understand Eva's perspective, what Eva's think. I'm all on board. I have had sessions with Rohan and they have been beneficial to my life. And because of that, I'm able to help more people and to operate at a higher level, and the things that I do in ministry. So Rohan, we've got a couple of minutes. Is there anything else that you want to leave with the listeners? You guys, I'm gonna put his website up on the screen. You can check it out if you want to book a session with him or you want to join one of the group sessions. But I do encourage you, if you're going to join a group session, leave a donation. Leave a donation. And what I tell people at church, give gladly, right? So leave a donation if you're going to attend the group session. But also, I recommend trying an individual session to see how that's able to help you. So Rohan, do you have any parting words for our listeners?
Yes, I'd like to share. Yeah, just be open and just be aware that a lot of the things that we know who we think we are, we learn, and a lot of the times it requires unlearning. And the mind, these logics, I like to share with people the whole idea of the mind. The mind says it. As I said, the truth is the mystery hidden in plain sight. I'm a humble servant, but I'm a dangerous master. But most people are allowing the mind to be the master, and it cannot be the master. The mind cannot understand, but you can. The mind can only perceive. So we are supposed to use the mind because it's a synthesizer. This goes deep. So it's probably going to get more different conversations. So we use the mind to understand, but it cannot understand. We understand, not the mind. So we could get into the whole idea of Jesus and a lot of the idea of even I want to be like Jesus. What we want to be like anything at all, you're conflicting. It's a conflict. Or about I want to be one with Jesus, but I've heard different people saying we are not worthy of being one with, and they don't understand. They're coming from a certain frequency, but we are one with. One with is complementing, synchronizing, be one with Jesus instead of want to be like. We're not here to be like anybody, be yourself. And Jesus said it too. You are going to do greater things than I. He said it. So it's not to be like. Nobody can be like Jesus. A lot of people say they want to be like Jesus. How many is willing to go on the cross? I don't want to get too deep into it. So when they say I want to be like Jesus, you understand? Be one with. We can be one with each other. That's what we don't need to be. All of us are unique. It's a big puzzle. There's only that one space for all of us. So nobody can be like anybody. We be one with each other. And especially at the soul level. And synchronize and harmonize. Being like anything is a conflict. So I feel that's where some of these things that are happening, the indifferences are going on. The whole narratives and all of that. So be yourself. If I have to leave that, be yourself. Let everything inspire you to be yourself. Thank you.
There you have it. Be yourself. Rohan Clarke, Ancestral Resolve Practitioner. In the caption, you will find his website. You'll find my website as well. Whatever channel you're joining us from, please be sure to click the subscribe button because we may have some more content. That went over very smoothly. I know there's a group, Ancestral Resolve, a session on tonight, and then mostly every Tuesday, give or take. And so, maybe you want to find one of those sessions, but it has been great. Just holding space with you, Rohan. And for those that are in the chat, thank you so much for joining. Take a moment and share the link to this stream, even after it's over and done, to your social media. We want everybody, as many people as possible, to know about this work that's being done. I believe, if you want to see a better world, that starts one person at a time. And so take a moment, just share this with somebody, even over text message, that you think that this conversation and this work could be a blessing too. We're going to end the live stream, but Rohan, stay on for 1 second after the live stream ends.
Sure. Thanks for having me, everyone.
Yes. Bye, y'all.